Hello and welcome to the Thomaston Democratic Virtual Town Hall. My name is Amanda Birch, and as chairwoman of the Thomaston Democratic Town Committee, I will be your host. I am honored to introduce the 2025 Thomaston Democratic candidates while we ask them questions pertaining to themselves, their qualities, the election, and what they will do once elected to continue serving you, the residents of our beloved town. Let's begin with introductions from each of our candidates, beginning with a woman you all know, Kathy DuPont. Kathy?
Hi everyone, my name is Kathy. I have been town clerk for the last 32 years, and I'm looking forward to running again this November. I've lived in Thomaston for the past 40 years, and that's where I met my husband Roger. We raised 3 children here. They went through the school system and have decided to stay in Thomaston because they really felt it was a great place to raise their children as well. So we will see you in November and vote for Kathy DuPont.
Hi, I'm Beth Campbell. I'm running for the Board of Selectmen. I'm a lifelong resident of Thomaston, a parent of a recent Thomaston High School graduate, and daughter of 2 elderly parents who still call Thomaston their home. As a middle-class working woman who currently is serving 12 years on the Board of Education, on the Historic Commission, Ambulance Commission, and other boards and committees, I've seen our town from every angle. Classrooms, committees, sidelines, and kitchen tables. I'm running for the Board of Selectmen to give back, solve problems, and restore civility and respect in our local government.
Hello, I'm Jeff Dunn, running for First Selectman for the town of Thomaston. I'm a lifelong resident of Thomaston. I was educated in the Thomaston school systems. I raised my family here, started a business and ran it for many years. I later worked for the town of Thomaston at the Thomaston Opera House. I then envisioned and created Landmark Community Theater that partnered with the town to manage that facility. I serve on the Economic Development Commission, the last 6 years on the Board of Selectmen. I serve on many committees and love to volunteer and call Thomaston my home.
Hi, my name is Becky Shapinka, and I'm running for the 2-year Board of Education term. I've been a resident for Thomaston for over 30 years. I have 3 children who have all graduated from the Thomaston school systems. I previously served on the Board of Education for 6 years, and I'm looking forward to serving the town of Thomaston again.
Everybody, my name is Lindsay Masha. I'm running for tax collector. I've lived in town now for 27 years. I have graduated from Thomaston High School in 2011, and I've also worked in town for the last 16 years of my life.
My name is Kristen Mosselman. I'm a candidate for the Board of Finance. I've lived here in town my entire life and raised my 3 daughters here as well. We're all Thomaston High School graduates. Some of you may recognize me as a tour guide at the Seth Thomas Bradstreet House, where I've been part of the Thomaston Historic Commission since its inception in 2006. I'm happy to be here tonight. Look forward to answering your questions.
Hi, my name is Joe Calabro. Been a resident of Thomaston for the past 7 years. I am a retired language arts teacher with over 30 years of experience both at the secondary level and the university level. I am running for the library board, and I'm currently affiliated with the Fine Arts Council, the Writers Group.
Hi, I'm Barbara Lee. I'm running for the Library Board of Trustees. I'm currently serving on that board and have been a member for 5 years. My family and I moved here 25 years ago. I have 2 grown children and 2 grandchildren.
Hi, I'm David Shapinka. I'm running for the Board of Assessor Appeals. I've been a lifelong resident of Thomaston, currently on the Thomaston Volunteer Fire Department for more than 45 years. Just retired from the town of Thomaston after 28 years. Currently boards I serve on the Board of Assessor Appeals, Capital Improvement, and I also wind the clocks at the gazebo in the center of town and the clock tower at the town hall for the past 15 years.
Hi, my name is Kara Lasko-Files, and I am the candidate for the Board of Education. I am a lifelong resident of Thomaston and a proud graduate of Thomaston High School. I currently have 2 children in our public schools, one in 8th grade and one in 3rd grade. I have been teaching for over 20 years, both in the Hartford and Waterbury Public Schools. I bring to the Board of Ed a vast amount of experience in both teaching art and mentoring new teachers. I've worked many years with new teachers in the teen program. I have been a cooperating teacher for several student teachers from many universities across the state, and I was also chosen as a pilot teacher for the Connecticut's new Teacher Apprentice Program, an initiative formed by the state to address the teacher shortage, which aims to attract and retain new teachers. On the Board of Ed, I will use my expertise to advocate for teacher support and growth, making Thomaston schools more appealing to our families by ensuring our educators are valued and dedicated to our district for years to come.
Thank you all for those wonderful introductions. I will begin our town hall with our current selectman and police commissioner, Jeff Dunn. Jeff, hello.
Hi, Amanda.
Jeff, why did you decide to run at this time?
You know, it sounds corny, but I love this town. I believe it's the best small town in America. So I really feel like it's better. It's important to leave something better than how you found it. And I feel like over my lifetime, I've watched that happen here in town, and I want to be part of that.
Nice. What are your priorities in the first months of being in office?
Well, I think I definitely have to look at all of the projects and activities that are going on when I take over office and make sure that those are completed or finalized and whatnot. I do want to bring the department heads and staff together and really get to know everybody and see if we can create more synergy among the departments. I really want to start making meetings more accessible to people, which might mean having streaming meetings, looking at a Thomaston Facebook page, an official Thomaston Facebook page where we can communicate with all the people of Thomaston, because honestly that's the way people get their information today. And one of my things that I think is really important is to look at the policies for our pensioners that prohibit them from working after retiring. We're losing a lot of very valuable, skilled people, and we're really losing money in the process. So I really want to look at that policy and see if we can clear that up.
Thank you. What are your plans for Landmark Community Theater and the Opera House once elected as first selectman?
So I've been working at the Thomaston Opera House in one form or another since I was 12 years old. It's in my blood. I think it's the lifeblood of Thomaston. So I'm not getting divorced from the Opera House. However, if elected first selectman, that will be my full-time job, and I will step away from my leadership position at Landmark and provide help wherever I can.
Thank you. Now I'd like to move on to our Board of Selectmen candidate, Beth Campbell. Beth, what inspired you to run for the Board of Selectmen?
Well, growing up here, service to this community is part of who I am. I'm running for the Board of Selectmen to give back and to help rebuild respect in our local government. In recent years, I've watched constituents get yelled at in meetings and papers thrown in their faces. On the Board of Education, I've seen colleagues pressured by party leaders about how they voted and whether or not they would be endorsed in the next election. That's not leadership, that's intimidation. If elected, I'll work to change that culture. Meetings should be welcoming, not weaponized. Residents should feel safe to ask questions, challenge ideas, and give feedback. And we should respond with transparency and humility. My promise is simple. Treat everyone with respect, make it easier for people to participate, and let the will of the community, not party politics, guide our decisions.
Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to our tax collector position with Lindsay Mesha. Hi, Lindsay.
Hi, Amanda.
Hey. Lindsay, why do you want to become tax collector, and what do you feel are your responsibilities to the town?
So for the last 16 years, I have been serving the community in Thomaston. So I would like to continue to do so. Let's be honest, nobody really loves going to pay their taxes, or any bill for that matter. But I want to ensure that it's a easy, smooth process. couple, I think, greeting people with a smile, that's a little bit of a responsibility, so that's one of them. But being in contact to discuss payments, always following policies and maintaining proper payments, so making sure that money's being accounted for where it's supposed to be going. Bills are coming in, bills are going out properly. I've also just recently shadowed a surrounding town tax collector that allowed me to come in and see kind of how the office is run, see how that goes smooth, and so I can get my feet a little bit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to our candidate for town clerk, Kathy DuPont. Kathy, what are changes in the town clerk's office that you have overseen or implemented in your 32 years serving Thomaston?
I would say the most important one was updating land records, getting them online so people have access anywhere. They can go online and get the most recent recordings. So if somebody is taking out a mortgage or if somebody's recording documents, they have to make sure there's nothing before that doesn't have to be released. So that's been a big thing, and we've been able to get grant money for that. So we go back to images back to the 20s and indexing back to the 40s. So it really gives people a lot of information just by going online.
Okay. Are there any other things that people can do online?
They can. They can apply for a marriage license. They can do hunting and fishing licenses. They can search any kind of information. And we use our technology for being able to get a lot of vital records, death records, birth records, and things like that. So we've come a long way over the years.
Sounds like it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Now I'm going to move on to our Board of Finance candidate, Kristen Mossman. Hi, Kristen.
Hello.
Kristen, what qualifications make you a strong candidate for Board of Finance?
Well, I think I bring a unique set of skills to the table with extensive corporate finance experience, nonprofit, and as well as municipal government. I spent 14 years in the retirement and investment services. In the private sector, in 2005, I was elected to the Board of Finance and served for 8 years until I stepped down to accept a spot on the Board of Selectmen. I served for over 12 years on the pension committee, and I was the town treasurer from 2017 until 2021, and I'm also a former treasurer and trustee of the Railroad Museum of New England. I'm currently serving as a teacher right now, so I think I bring a different kind of perspective with all these different parts, and I think I have the ability to sort of look at the town finances in totality, and I have a keen eye for long-term strategic financial planning.
Thank you so much. Okay, now we're going to move on to our Board of Education candidate, Becky Shapinka. Becky, what motivated you to seek a 2-year term on the Board of Education, and what strengths or contributions would you bring to this role?
Well, Amanda, I have had prior experience on the Board of Education. I served 6 years, 2 of those years being the chairperson of the Board of Education. I think it's important to have the transparent communication. Even more important, to leave the politics at the door. Education is about our staff, our children, and the taxpayers in the town. We don't need to bring the politics into the discussions on there. At the same time, you need to have the collaboration with other departments. Obviously, with the current climate survey that's out there, there's going to be a lot of tough decisions that are coming up. And having the prior experience, I already understand how the board meetings work, how the policies work, and that sort of thing. So I don't require or need the time to be brought up to speed to understand how that works.
That's very important. Thank you. Okay, now we'll move on to one candidate from the Library Board of Trustees, Joe Calabro. Hi, Joe.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thanks.
Joe, why do you believe it is important for the town library to foster even stronger connections with our school libraries?
Well, you know, in my experience as a teacher, I was fortunate to see some really excellent models of school libraries connecting up with town libraries. And I think our own town library should continue the current collaboration that we have with our schools and also develop some new programs. I'd like the town library to learn about the services that the school provides and vice versa. I'd encourage meeting with teachers, sharing resources and addressing different needs. And in my ideal world, I'd have some future goals, perhaps enhanced summer reading and writing programs, increasing digital literacy for the students that would be also carried out through the library itself, and sharing materials, book clubs, author talks. I see the library as a real community center. And as I said, I've also seen examples of how town libraries can connect to school libraries and really get some pretty good results. So I'd like to pursue that route, in addition to my usual duties on being on the board.
Thank you. Joe, you mentioned author talks. You know a little bit about that?
Just a bit, yeah. I'm supposed to be scheduled to give one at the library. They're going to give me the go-ahead. I'm waiting. So I'm
Nice.
practicing my author voice for when that happens.
Thank you. Now on to our other Library Board of Trustees current member and candidate, Barbara Lee. Hi, Barb.
Hi, Amanda.
Barb, how do you see the library advancing or adapting in the next 5 to 10 years, and what will your role be in that?
Well, by coincidence, we have just signed a company that we are going to be working with to develop a long-range plan. So part of that long-range plan will be meeting in small focus groups and try to get every walk of life involved. We'll be meeting with students, we'll be meeting with our own staff, and we'll be meeting with the bigger community. After all those are done, we'll sit together and review the results with the company as recommended, and we will prioritize very strongly both short and long-term goals. We're really excited about getting started with this, and I'm looking forward to being part of it. And please stop in to see us anytime.
Thank you, that sounds awesome. Okay, moving on to our Board of Assessment Appeals candidate, Dave Shapenka. Hi, Dave.
Hi.
Dave, how would you ensure that property owners receive fair and impartial hearings?
Well, as a board member and a taxpayer, it's very important to submit your paperwork and your proper evidence to the town hall. Your application has to be in at a certain period before it comes to the board of reviews. We're a board of 3. We're all elected volunteers. And we're also taxpayers and residents, so we try to help you out as best we can.
Yeah, you understand it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Now moving on to our Board of Ed candidate, Kara Lasko-Files. Kara, how would you balance maintaining a high standard of education with the financial realities of our town budget?
Well, as a teacher and a mother, I understand the importance of providing students with a high quality education while being mindful of the taxpayers' dollars. I would like to prioritize initiatives that would directly impact our students' learning, seek creative fundraising solutions, and ensure every dollar spent supports Thomaston's long-term educational goals.
Thank you. Back to you, Beth. Beth, what steps would you take to increase transparency and build trust between the board and the community?
Well, Amanda, I feel trust comes from transparency and follow-through. My goal is to ensure we have a clear code of conduct so every meeting is civil. We need to ensure all meeting agendas and minutes are posted timely with transparent information. And as Jeff has said, meetings should be virtual or posted online. So we should institute office hours and maybe some town halls so people can ask hard questions and get real answers. That's how you build trust, with transparency, open process, clear rules, and measurable results.
Thank you. And Jeff, leading into that, how do you plan to communicate with residents outside of public meetings?
Well, I really like what Maura Martin used to do when she was selectman, having the brown bag lunches. And I'm thinking having something similar to that, where I can invite the public in to just talk and tell us what's on their minds, right? The Facebook page that I mentioned before. I think that's really important to get our messages out and also allow people to communicate back without necessarily having to stop into the town hall. Facebook pages can be set up so that you can stream directly onto it. So that can become a really big piece of what we're doing to communicate with the public. It was mentioned before, and I love the idea of moving public comment up to earlier in the meeting so that you hear from the public before you vote on things. It seems kind of backwards that we vote on an agenda item and then hear from the public what they think of that. It's backwards. So I'd really like to do that. And the other thing is I really want to encourage all the boards and committees and whatnot to take that same approach. Have live meetings if possible. Post those agendas and minutes as soon as possible onto the websites and really work on communicating with the public.
Thank you. Jeff, one more question for you. What skills or qualities do you have that make you uniquely qualified for the selectman position?
Well, beyond my many years of running a business, being a resident of Thomaston, being an administrator in a nonprofit organization and serving on boards, I feel like the best thing that I bring to the table is communication. I really enjoy people and the people of Thomaston especially. I feel like I'm very open to people coming up and talking to me and listening to what they have to say, and I think that's a big piece of how I will work as first selectman in Thomaston.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all of the candidates. And on behalf of the DTC, I also want to thank our viewers. We appreciate you and your time. And Jeff, when is early voting?
Funny you should ask that, Amanda. Early voting starts on October 20th and runs through November 2nd from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. With longer days on October 28th and 30th from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. On Election Day, November 4th, polls will open at 6 a.m. and run until 8 p.m. I think this is a great group of candidates with many, many years of experience. They serve on over 30 different boards. So I hope you'll come out and vote this election season and also visit the DTC website and other medias to stay in touch with us.
Paid for by the Thomaston Democratic Town Committee, Kathy DuPont, Treasurer.
Thomaston, it is time to clock in.